Ready? Just give me a thumbs up when you'd... All right. I'm gonna wait till that truck goes past. Good afternoon. My name is Douglas Judson, and I use the pronouns he, him, his. I am the co-chair of Borderland Pride. My co-chair is Peter Howie and is unable to be here today. I'd like to acknowledge that we're gathered on Treaty 3 territory, the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people, within which the Métis share history. We are here today at the Fort Frances Civic Center and are being live streamed by our sponsor, MJ Interactive. June is Pride Month, when communities of all sizes celebrate the diversity of sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, and family types that make up our region. As northern communities in economic and social transition, Pride is an opportunity for us to signal our openness to difference and to challenge assumptions about our values so that our door is always open to new residents, business, and growth. In other years, when we cross our border during our Pride March, we do so not just as a gimmick, but to remind ourselves that Pride is about challenging the artificial barriers between all people, faiths, identities, and nationalities. This year, we will observe Pride under the unique constraints of social distancing and a restricted international border. We know that this is disappointing for many members of our community who have come to see this annual celebration as an opportunity to support our young people and build confidence and belonging. We know that many of you are isolated right now, potentially with unsupportive families, or away from schools, activities, or other supports that help you find strength. We are with you. That's why this year we have set out on a mission to assert that Pride lives here, in our communities, and to provide local residents and businesses with the tools to make visible statements that they have your back and that inclusion is important to them and their vision for the region. Since Victoria Day, Pride Lives Here has spread like wildfire. We have distributed almost 700 campaign signs across northwestern Ontario. We have also sent the artwork to organizations across Canada that want to share our message with their community after reading our story in the Toronto Star. Regionally, community leaders from all levels of government have stepped up too. Municipal and First Nation councils in Fort Frances, Couchiching, International Falls, Rainier, Matangigaming, Morley, Kenora, Dryden, Red Lake, Anigaming, Sioux Lookout, Lac Seul, Thunder Bay, and beyond have adopted resolutions recognizing Pride Month and affirming the welcome place of LGBTQ2 people in their communities. MPP Greg Rickford and MP Marcus Pulowski have also posted messages online, and we thank them for their words of support. Together, these affirmations send a strong message that Pride lives here right across our region, even in the shadow of a pandemic and in the face of some bigotry in certain quarters. Our words matter in moments when we are limited in our ability to come together in common cause. Pride 2020 is truly about showing our solidarity and commitment to our values, even during dark and isolated times. And indeed, isolation is a feeling that rural or small town LGBTQ2 kids know all too well, which makes the messages that we send as leaders, as businesses, as educators, or as families even more meaningful. Through Pride, we assert that LGBTQ2 people matter, that this is a place that can be their home, that their presence is valued, and that diversity is a gift. Borderland Pride will be using online tools and other media to give voice to local LGBTQ2 stories and people throughout the North this month. As we move forward in this uncertain and fractured time, Pride organizations are reminded of our own history as a movement. It was 51 years ago that the Stonewall riots gave life to Pride and the fight for LGBTQ2 equality. It is that same sense of outrage and concern that that cause queer people to stand with other equity, justice, and truth-seeking movements today. As we watch demonstrations and protests unfold across the United States and around the world, it is critical that LGBTQ2 people stand with those facing race-based violence, brutality, and oppression. Black Lives Matter, people of color matter, and fighting back matters. As we call for allies to the cause of Pride and supporting our youth, it is equally important this year that we be allies to others facing systemic injustice. A prominent Black American philosopher once said that justice is what love looks like in public. As we muddle through our isolation and watch heart-wrenching footage across social media and television right now, I encourage everyone to reach out, to listen, and to act with compassion and conviction to be tools for a more just community and world. Borderland Pride is fortunate to be surrounded by community leaders on both sides of the border who have answered this call for healing, belonging, and justice, and we have some of them with us here today. And so with that, I'd like to invite Mayor June Call of the town of Fort Frances to share some remarks.
Thank you, Doug. We certainly do live in unprecedented times. Some people choose to believe that COVID-19 is not a real threat, even though millions have become infected and many thousands have died. Some choose to believe that racism doesn't exist. Yet look at what has happened in the United States. Some people believe that drug use and mental illness aren't real illnesses, and people cause their own suffering, when it has been proven that these illnesses develop because of severe trauma in the person's life. Far too many people have been marginalized for centuries. Jews, the homeless, the indigenous people, those with different skin color, different religious activities, and our LGBTQ2 group of people throughout the country. Today we raise the pride flag to honor and accept those who have been marginalized because of their sexual identification. Some people believe that the LGBTQ citizens identify as such because they want to be. This cannot be farther from the truth. LGBTQ people were born with their sexual orientation and have been struggling to be accepted for many years. I have two friends, one childhood friend who had to move away from Fort Frances because he wasn't even accepted by his own father, and has lived away from this town ever since he was a young man. I had another young man who was one of my best friends in town who felt uncomfortable all his life because he identified as being gay, and he was not able to tell anyone, and he suffered in silence. He tried committing suicide a few times because of it. In his later life, he finally felt comfortable because of people like Doug and his group here who have made it known and made it more public for everybody to start accepting them. He was able to come out finally in his last years. And unfortunately, we lost him to cancer a couple of years ago, just when he finally was truly being able to be his own self and be happy with life. Standing with us here today are good people. They are friends of mine. I am proud to call them my friends, and I choose to acknowledge them as being my equal in every way, as good people who deserve to be treated as I myself want to be treated. If it's raising this flag, marching in a parade, and celebrating by people who have not been accepted forever, if that means that I choose to accept and respect the LGBTQ population, and if that's what it takes, please, let's raise that rainbow flag right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Call. And with that, I would like to invite Chief Brian Perreault of Couchiching First Nation to share some remarks.
Oh. Bonjour. Bonjour. Ndenowe Magnetuk. All my relations. Sagachewe Indigo Bijun Totem Couchiching Donji. My name is Brian Perreault. I'm the chief of Couchiching First Nation. And I'm very pleased to be here today. And as I introduce myself in the Anishinaabe language, I say that to all my relations. And that's very important that we do that, because you know, we're all together in this struggle through life that we face each and every day. I want to thank Councillor Doug Judson for inviting me here, and the mayor as well. And the relationship that we have between Couchiching and Fort Frances is getting very strong, much stronger over the last couple of years. I'm very proud of that. We're able to come together and understand, try to seek to understand each other. And that's what why I wanted to be here today, because there are two-spirited people in all of our communities, and they have to know that their leaders support them, care for them, love them. And that's what this is about here. This is why I wanted to participate, to show people and members in my community and throughout the Anishinaabe community in Treaty 3 and right across Turtle Island and the world that we stand with them. And we want to make sure that we do everything we can. Anishinaabe people have felt racism, felt that discrimination, and it's time that stops. We need to look at each other with love and kindness and respect. And I think by participating here today in raising a symbol that welcomes everyone in the community of the two-spirited people, I just want to say that I'm very proud to participate in that. And we know how it feels to be marginalized, to be looked at in a different way. So that is why I wanted to be here and show that that respect and kindness and love while we start this month of June, and all the activities that might happen throughout this month. Let's not forget that there's a better world in front of us, and we each need to do our part to make sure that happens. Miigwech for allowing me to be here. Miigwech for, again, the mayor and council of Fort Frances to acknowledge that they are on Treaty 3 territory. And I just want to say miigwech again for the friendship that we've had over the years. Miigwech.
Miigwech, Chief Perot, and I'd like to invite Grand Chief of Treaty 3, Ogitchita Francis Kavanaugh, to the podium.
Miigwech, Councillor Judson. My name is Songkamigenang Digo. Kebeasige ninige not Kameganing Donji Namendo Tem Nimiteo Zagabasge. My name is Francis Kavanaugh. I'm referred to as the Ogitchita, the Grand Chief of Grand Council Treaty Number 3. I belong to the Sturgeon clan. I also belong to the Sundance, the Meteoin Lodge, and the Roundhouse. So I'm here today. I attended an earlier meeting this morning when I found out that this was happening. So this is an impromptu appearance for me to show support for the flying of the pride flag in Fort Frances. I take this opportunity on behalf of the Grand Council, the people I represent, that we do support. We appreciate the pride people, the LGBTQ people. I know as an Anishinaabe person, I have experienced racism throughout my life and stuff like that. I still experience it as Grand Chief. People often accost me when I'm in public places, and they start questioning me about the stances that Treaty 3 has taken as First Nations people and stuff like that. And then because of that, I truly understand. I have empathy for what the LGBTQ people have to go through in terms of being marginalized. I know in our own territory we have a lot of people that are LGBTQ and have yet to come out. So as a matter of fact, just last week I asked my staff to look into establishing an LGBTQ group within our governance structure. You know, Treaty 3's governance structure includes an elders council, a women's council, a men's council, a youth council. So now I'm asking staff to look at establishing an LGBTQ council within our governance structure. We've already checked with various ministries to try and resource this initiative, you know, and so that's where we're at in terms of LGBTQ. And I want to also announce that my own office is separate from the administration office, you know, and I don't have a flagpole at where my office sits, and I've asked them to erect a flagpole so we can fly the LGBTQ, the pride flag, you know, at my political office. Also, what else was I going to say? I just forgot what I was going to say. But anyways, we're in wholehearted support of LGBTQ and what it stands for. And, you know, from our perspective as First Nations people, we were raised to believe in love, kindness, compassion for everybody. So this is what this kind of message I'm delivering, that we are here to support that. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention is as of today, we're working on our logo. It's going to display the pride rainbow in some place within our logo, and that's to support Pride Month of June. So with that, miigwech for allowing me to say a few words. Haha, miigwech.
Miigwech Ugichida. At Borderland Pride, we do most of what we do to support young people in our communities of the region. And with that, before we put our flag up, I'd like to invite Mace to the podium to share some reflection with us.
Thank you. There are many reasons why Pride is important, such as the fact that the LGBT community is attacked daily, or the fact that we are a community with one of the highest suicide rates, or because there are people out there who think things like conversion therapy are okay, or because there are people who think they need a straight Pride parade. As a young trans person, I have experienced all kinds of bigotry and still continue to experience it, as do most other LGBTQ plus people. Those are some of the reasons why Pride is so very important. There's absolutely nothing better than seeing Pride Lives Here signs or rainbow pride flags all around town and at businesses, because it shows us as LGBT people that there are people out here who support us and are going to stand up for us, for our rights, and show people that it's all about love. Love is love, and it's about time we start celebrating our differences and who we are. That is why Pride is important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we will get help putting our flag up the pole and wrap things up. Thank you, Cody, for that help. Just before we wrap things up, that does conclude our brief ceremony this morning. please monitor Borderland Pride's Facebook page, where we will continue to post updates on the Pride Lives Here campaign and to share information about upcoming opportunities to celebrate Pride and engage with LGBTQ2 and inclusion issues over the month ahead. If you have questions or you would like to contact us, you can reach us at borderlandpride@gmail.com or at 807-861-3684. Thank you to the participants in today's event, and happy Pride. Thank you, everyone.